Hello, everybody, and welcome to the week 2 of the SpyParty Competitive League Season 4 cast. I am your host with the Banana Bread Toast, Lieutenant Hummus, and I am joined, as always, by Taboshi and Warning Track. Say hello, both of you.
Hello,
Hello,
both
how
of
you doing?
Oh, good. At least one of us is getting the joke.
An oldie but a goodie, yeah.
An oldie but a goodie. How y'all doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am doing well. It is a wonderful Sunday evening. Wherever we are. I know we're all in different locations, but
Yeah, we're kind of spread out, aren't we?
we are spread out.
But brought together by the miracle of technology.
The miracle
But
of
at least
technology.
for those watching, it is probably Sunday and probably evening.
That is true. It is 6:32 in the official home of SpyParty headquarters, which is my apartment. All right, anyway. Not really. My apartment is definitely not the official headquarters. But anyway, we have 3 games for the people at home or wherever they happen to be right now. We're gonna start out in the in the bronze division with Nanthelas versus Arturiax. Then we're gonna bump things up with Elvis Snake versus Scallions, and finally we will be casting Slappy Davis versus Drawn Onward. If you got nothing else to say, I say we jump into the first match. What do you think?
It's okay with me.
All right, let's.
Sounds good. Do you have the picks and bans?
I do. Give me 1 second, because we can just go boom. Oh shoot! I did it again. I made boom. we were talking before the stream about how many times I would say boom when I made a transition, and apparently I was like, I'm not gonna do it. Very first transition. I already screwed up.
Might I suggest a wham or a pow or any of the other Batman punch sound effect texts? Any of those would be fine.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll see what happens. So we're going to start out with Nanthelas versus Arturiax. Let's take a look at the picks and the bans. So Nanthelas starts out by banning Ballroom any 4 of 8. Arturiax responds by banning Pub any 4 of 7. Anything you want to say about these bans before we move on?
Wow, a ballroom ban.
Ballroom ban.
Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to see more of that this year.
You do?
I really do. Yeah, I think we're at the point now where spies are getting savvy enough that they're realizing they can get away with an awful lot on Ballroom. When I was looking through the Season 3 stats, I noticed a lot of mission wins coming through on Ballroom, and I think anyone doing their homework is starting to think twice about leaving in what a lot of people otherwise think of as a neutral map.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll take a look at the picks for the doubled maps. Nanthelas opens things up with, one of the good-looking maps, Gallery, any 4 of 8. Arturiax responds to double Courtyard, any 4 of 7. Nanthelas' final pick is Library, any 5 of 8. And the final pick of the match is Veranda, any 5 of 8. So we got a good mix of small maps, and of course we have the 2 largest maps in the game.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Normally, if you're willing to pick either a library or veranda, it would imply that the other person would not really need to pick the other. Usually it's kind of either or, right? You're either banning them or you're picking them. In this case, they both seem to be kind of on the same page about this. They want to play similar games here. They both feel comfortable playing these types of games against each other. The fun thing for me, though, is always picking Courtyard. Very few people are going to have a problem with it. The question is, who's going to use their pick on it? Who's going to dare the other person to use their pick on Courtyard so that you don't have to use your own?
Yeah, that's a fair point, because I think Courtyard, I would venture to say almost everybody is comfortable on it.
Right. So I think honestly a really good thing if you're in the SCL and watching this, for example, and you're not sure what to do with your picks and bans, get another map that you're super comfortable on other than Courtyard, so that you can make your opponent pick it for you basically and have an advantage.
Sounds good. Shall we drop into the first game?
Cool with me.
Let's do exactly that. We've got Arturiax starting things off as Plane Twin on the spy roll. Nanthelas on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. And Gallery, despite being a large map, it's a map that favors a very specific type of player. It's not a particularly comfortable map for people who are good at all of the other maps. It's sort of a thing onto itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
well,
seeing it
psychologically.
doubled is very interesting.
Yes, it is, and psychologically it's very difficult because technically everything is visible more or less all the time. You really need to be brave. You need to remember that there's so much occlusion. You need to remember what it's like. You need to remember what it's like when you're a beginner spy, and the first thing you have to tell yourself is, hey, sniper's overwhelming at first, so if I'm overwhelmed as sniper, my opponent will be too. You sort of have to relearn that thing you learned in your first 50 games all over again with Gallery because so much is visible.
Banana bread.
Slow start from Arturiax, so picks up a fingerprint while he's at it, and just now picking up his contact, the DA, as well. In the back of the conversation here, doesn't decide to hang around for any purloined shenanigans. Instead, looks like he's heading out front to try to get a seduction, but the seduction target doesn't want any part of it.
Two things to note about that. 5 possible lowlights for that banana bread, which is actually pretty good for Gallery, but Nan gets them all.
That's really good. Green time ad at the front windows to make up the time lost from the seduction target chase. And as well as that, it's a green test, so it's hard to see.
Yeah, and not only that, but at this point in the game, with so much time left to dilate, even if Nan is watching for it, and I don't think Nan was, probably going to get away clean with that. Takes a bug path, though, without bugging. From the sniper side, that looked mighty suspicious.
Yeah, it wasn't a great one, but doesn't look like he got caught out on it too badly.
Well, the funny thing is, if it's possible, if it looks suspicious, then you might as well have bugged anyway because they might credit it. If they're not suspicious, then you should have done it anyway because you would have gotten away with it.
Yeah. All right. First flirt is on the board. Close white for 34%. 2 minutes left to play. Not a whole lot of progress.
Really interesting note, by the way, that Nan zoomed in a lot, even when the Amba is bumping into people around the doorway. Not watching the Ambassador all that closely, as we mentioned earlier, didn't seem all that interested in the bug path, and didn't seem that interested in the Amba bumping into 2 or 3 people by the doorway either. Just doesn't seem to be guarding bug that much.
Wrong shot coming off, interestingly enough. I'm not quite sure what he did to... Oh!
It's the stop.
Yeah, someone took his spot and he stopped at a weird spot and the sniper didn't like it.
Well, so here's the thing. Nan, probably a good enough player to know about that, to know that that's something AIs will do, but look at how long this pause is.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
It's a lot.
I'm counting. That's almost a full 3 seconds, I would say. That's about as long as I've seen. I think that's got to be on the outer range of what an AI will do in that situation. So
yeah.
I would rather wait around for confirmation. The shot doesn't seem entirely necessary, but at the same time, I don't think this is a case of Nan not realizing the AI can do that. That was unusual.
That was very unusual. I don't think I've ever seen an AI stop for that long, but it happened right here, right before your eyes. It was an AI. That's a thing that can happen. Now we know.
Now you know. The more you know, star across the screen. There we go.
But it does give Arturiax an easy leg up to start off the festivities here. Let's see what he does on the sniper side. With Nanthelas on the spy as wheels. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Chad is asking, the question you want to ask yourself is, why would a player do that? Well, obviously, I guess what Nan is thinking there is a player would do that to try to emulate the AI, but maybe they didn't do a good job of it.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of.
Or maybe his keyboard malfunctioned.
It could be that. Yeah, maybe it's just a mistake. It happens.
Close white for 34% to start things off.
This would not be a bad time for a BB. You don't normally want to do it early, but how often do you have a DA and SDA and 2 different conversations and only, again, 4 or 5 people out? More left since.
Might have been planning on doing it to cover for a purloin coming right afterwards, but the double agent steps away before he gets a chance.
Yeah, so sometimes you'll get these little moments on Gallery for the decent BBs, and sometimes you won't, but when you do, it does not last. Too many people.
Fingerprint on the briefcase. I'm not sure that little twitch on the pad there was something that an AI would do, but yeah. I could see it being a thing. At least enough to not take heat for it.
Ambassador just put down the far back statue. There's a chance for a second briefcase there and to get a couple inspects in if Nan has noticed, but I don't think that's the plan.
Currently sitting at blue bookcase. probably not going to take the book out. Might be looking for some microfilm. Nope, just sets it back where it came from. My fingerprint is still hot on that back statue.
Yeah, and it might be for a while yet. I think maybe with Nan, sometimes in gallery, what you do is you go get that book and you just sort of see, does the party provide you with more occlusion while you're sitting there? Do people come over in the painting behind you and block you a little bit? Didn't really happen in that case. So you can make a decent argument for taking the book out and just sort of seeing what the party gives you in the next 20 seconds or so.
Nan's been playing things really slowly after that start, though. He's got the one fingerprint, he's got the flirt, and that's all that's happened for the past quite a long time. This is not good.
It's not ideal, but then again, gallery is one of those maps like library or veranda where there's just so much activity and it's so easy to imagine you miss something that you have a better than average shot of convincing the sniper to shoot anyway, I'd say.
But at this point, that might be his only chance at this. Double agent is in conversation. Contact comes off on the green test. That's the first mission completion with 1 minute to play.
True, but partial on the fingerprint and the seduce, that can add up in a hurry, particularly if you can combine two of those things together somehow, maybe with a statue visit while an ST is there. But the party's got to give you something first.
Seduce is hard to get a bunch on. He might have to panic bug here. He would have gotten away with it, but he doesn't go for it.
I think that fingerprint is still alive, and the seduction target is right across from the statue, too. That would have been a great opportunity if Nan wasn't outside.
Seduction target's on the way out.
Yep. If Nan was on that quicker, I think that would have been a prime opportunity to increase one mission and finish another.
Purloin comes off, 30 seconds.
It's white, is going to bail. Will it induce a shot, though? And if it is, will it be Nan?
I don't know.
Definitely sees the list.
He's thinking about it. 10 seconds, he knows, but is he going to take a shot? Low light's coming out. I don't think there's going to be a bullet.
That's not what you do when you're about to shoot.
And Arturiax, playing the patient game, takes himself up 2-0 on the first half of the gallery.
That's really unfortunate. So Nan is outside with about 42 seconds left, and the seduction target picks up the statue across from the one that still has the fingerprint. Great opportunity to make progress on multiple missions at once late in the game. Being outside, maybe you do a time ad first and then rush out. I don't know, but it's just one of those things where the only way you're going to be able to finish missions is if you start combining them or chaining things together. And the party gave Nan that little tiny opening to do that, but he did not take advantage.
I feel kind of bad for Nan. It seemed like all the important NPCs were running away from him all game long.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was a lot of intent to finish missions, though, regardless. You know, I mean, obviously, sometimes you get that bad luck where people are running away, but you sort of end up chasing them and that gets you shot. Obviously, that's very clear. In this case, it was more like things aren't lining up, so I'm not going to try to finish very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't agree with it. But sometimes that's what you got to do. It didn't work out for him this time, but we'll see what happens in the future as Arturiax steps back into the spy side. Nanthelas on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And that's pretty rough for Nan, down 0-2 already.
Not the way you want to start, to be sure.
Yeah, not something Nan's accustomed to. Dominated Copper last year with 16 points, only one loss all year. But up here in Bronze, a little tougher.
Little reverse drive-by bug attempt as the ambassador walked behind him at the painting. It wasn't one that was likely to come off, and in fact it did not, but it was basically a free attempt, so there's no reason not to.
Now, what's really amazing about that from Nan, by the way, in 32 spy games last season, 0 timeouts. And then we saw one here in the first game.
43% off of the first flirt at painting, now stepping into statues for the first set of inspect, takes a highlight for his troubles as well. So it's not a large highlight, so not a huge suspect, and there are a lot of other highlights on the field already, but still, getting an early highlight before any hardtails come off is not something that you necessarily want as spy.
It's not great. I'll say it's better than average on gallery because there are so many highlights. The real question is when a highlight goes back to statue, that's when it really helps, when an AI goes to statues for a second time and could be done with the inspect.
Second flirt is on the board. We're at 77% now. No completions yet, but a lot of progress. 2 minutes to play. And possible Purloin at the back of the conversation opts not to take it. And loses the highlight while he's at it, stepping into the bookcase with a fingerprint on it.
Got it.
Arturiax.
Decent progress. Look at that. 2 inspects, most of the seduce, half the fingerprint. This is a lot of progress. If you can get 1 or 2 of these done in the next 30 or 40 seconds, you have a lot of time to pick your moment for the final mission.
No completions yet, sure, but as you were saying, lots and lots of progress, giving himself options moving forward, has a fingerprint done, 2 inspects. Seduce is finished just now. Minute and 15 left to play, so we got to do something, but... and it's going to be a green Purloin at the back of the conversation as we step away, heading to the front of the party.
Nan understands there are too many highlights, has stopped highlighting for statues. Wheels, however, has gone to 2 different statue sets back to back and is not garnering any attention for it. Nan clearly deciding if this person was going to go to statues, they would have gone earlier. You could see hair, for example, is bumped back down from the initial highlight. Clearly decided this is out of control. I have to switch things up.
Purloin comes off. There was a huge bug path at the front of the party, but he didn't wind up right-clicking on it. The Purloin has happened. The shot comes off for the drink, and Arturiax is up 3.
That's really something. That worked really well. By the time the Purloin went off, Arturiax was walking back in from outside. Really well done to get out of there. Looked like you're just entering the area as it happened. It helped that a highlight ended up with a drink right around the same time. And, you know, I don't know if Arturiax did this deliberately or not, but this is the way you want to play Nan if you can. Nan shot in over 83% of games last year, only allowed 10% mission wins and only a handful of timeouts. Nan is going to shoot one way or the other most games.
Yeah, it's so hard to catch those Purloins coming from the back of the conversation in gallery. It's just brutal back there.
Yeah, and even if you're on it, even if you're totally on it, you can actually be staring it right down and not be positive who did the reject. 2 people can stand very close together and it can be hard to tell the difference. But in those situations, you need to at least be able to narrow it down.
Either way, up 3-0, in danger of sweeping the doubled gallery. Nonetheless, setting into the spy shoes to try to shut him down. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. I've never seen this conversation this empty.
Yeah, this is pretty weird. Yours or ours or theirs, for that matter. There's just nothing to say yet.
Yeah.
I will remind you, by the way, this was Nan's pick.
It was indeed.
Starting slow can be demoralizing regardless, but when it's on your own pick, oof.
Yeah. This could be very rough for Nan if he can't find a spy win in this game. Having lost 1 set and drawing the second is okay.
Yeah,
that's
it's not
doable.
terrible.
But if you go down 4-0 off the start, that's hard to come back from mentally.
Yeah. Well, without being specific, there were several examples of 0-4 starts in the last couple of weeks where people either came back to win or came back to make a game of it. It's a little harder the higher you go. Hard anywhere, of course, but definitely possible. It's a very mental game, and momentum can change hands very quickly.
Look at this little thing again, trying to chase the seduction target to the front of the party. He steps away before we get a chance, so we add that time back to the clock while we're up there.
Yeah,
it's stepping into the statues.
If you chase the flirt and it doesn't happen, what else is out there? It's literally a banana bread if someone is actually in that that front conversation, or it's just time ad, or you just eat the time. Not too many options.
Eating the time is never something you want to do on gallery. Gets his pair of inspects, but that's his first progress at all. In conversation with the double agent now, seduction target at a painting behind us. How do we play this? Do we take the double agent? It looks like a reasonable time for it.
It's a reasonable time for it. This is really the moment where Nan tries to decide whether or not they're going to try to finish missions. If you're not gonna, maybe you save it for later in the game where it's more likely to induce a shot.
2 minutes to play. No completions yet. 2 inspects is all that's been done.
Yeah, we're rapidly approaching bingo fuel, so to speak, where Nan has to decide whether or not they're going to try to get home.
Man, I am not used to seeing Nan play this slow.
Yeah, it's unusual. I mean, well, maybe a 3-0 deficit will do that to you. Or again, though, this is the kind of map that's a little better for framing than some others. It's not like Courtyard, where a sniper might say with confidence, "I don't think they got much by me." But not enough, just not enough activity. It's actually pretty docile, not for any map, but for Gallery, this would qualify as docile, I think.
Minute and 10 left to play, and again, the only progress is 2 inspects. There's no way we're finishing missions at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not unless you go do another timeout right now.
Like, at least give yourself the option of rushing at the end if you feel like you have to, but really committed to the slow play, and it's just not working out for him.
Well, here's what I'm worried by. I'm worried by the thought that Nan's thinking, I've been idling so hard that maybe I'm low lit and I can get away with a bunch of stuff late. We know that is not the case, and it's not a great fit for Gallery either. Does get away with the microfilm, though, I think.
Yeah, it looks like he did get away with that, but why? There's 30 seconds left. All you've got done is inspects. This isn't even an inspect swap territory
well,
yet.
it's about to become.
Way out.
It's about to become inspect swap territory.
But the shot comes off anyways. I think probably worried about the transfer microfilm. Needed a confirmation, and the banana bread was all it took. That's 4-0.
Yeah, that's bad. And if you're Nan, you're thinking, I only did one thing really all game, and it got me shot. But look at the microfilm. You know, around 120, Nan is the only person at bookshelves when they get the blue book out, and there's no one blocking them or occluding them on that side. The 2 conversations are packed. That's when you should have BB'd. Orange Sari is out of conversation. That's it. So clear, wide open view with no other distractions of who's got that blue book. Nan walks over, waits 20, 40 seconds, something like that. That's just not where you want to be doing that microfilm.
Whew. Okay. Well, Nanthelas goes down 4-0 on his own doubled pick.
Yeah, not ideal. And only a couple of them really felt close.
Now stepping in to Arturiax's doubled pick. Luckily, it's Courtyard. And Courtyard is a comfortable map for everybody.
Yeah, but that also means it's comfortable for your opponent, and when you have a 4-0 lead, all you need to do is grind out a couple wins here or there, hold serve, and you're going to cruise to victory. So Nan needs to do something to turn over the proverbial apple cart right here and now.
At least it's a map he's comfortable on. Starting things off on the sniper side, Arturiax on the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now, what I always like to see is, what does a spy do when they have a big lead in a match? Do they press that advantage and do they go aggressive? Or do they sort of just play back, try a couple things, see if they can eke out a cheap victory here or there, and maybe play on their opponent's desperation? It's very easy when you are behind like this as sniper to sort of overreact to things and want to shoot them. You almost want to shoot them quicker, as if that's going to help, as if you get another win for how fast you do it or something. It's very hard to sit back and be patient as sniper when you're down big.
Either way, Arturiax playing the opening of this game very much by the book. Early flirt for 34%, and it looks like he's on the timer flirt for a second.
Yeah, at this point, you want to know your opponent a little bit. If you think your opponent is probably frustrated and trying to get it all back at once, so to speak, I would slow play and get him to shoot.
Second flirt coming off, another white test up to 68%. 2 minutes to play. This is looking just fine for Arturiax so far. No heat at all because he hasn't bloody moved. Now he steps away.
Yeah.
Bit of a bug path, but the sniper was on it and he did not right click.
Yeah, that's a safe bug path, I think, in that case, if Nan's watching, which Nan was, for sure. About to be short on time pretty soon, though. If they can't get the banana bread done and then finish up that flirt, then you'll be in a decent position. Then you'll have the classic, there it is, then you'll have the classic Courtyard conundrum, which we always talk about. You get the banana bread done, you get the seduce done, you haven't done your inspects. What do? Do you combine it with a swap? Do you purloin into them? A lot of options.
Doubled contact, oddly enough. Minute and 10 left to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about. Could have been a misclick. I don't really see the logic behind it otherwise.
Same.
But not too bad. If you're
behind the curve here as Arturiax. Hasn't gone into statues yet. Still needs that hardtail. Still needs a flirt.
Gonna do it
Gotta
now.
move pretty quickly. Does step into the statues here for his set of inspects.
Nan is just now rotating to see that.
Yep.
There's the
The
swap.
swap! The swap! Oh god! Oh god!
Nan's
Arturiax, why you do this?
Thinking about it. Thinking about it.
He knew he was low on time, went for the swap, didn't work out. Nanthelas is finally on the board.
It was funny watching that from the sniper side, sort of like a double take with the rotation, go back and forth a couple times, like, what? That was a swap? Really?
Yep.
And I could see why they're thinking it. It seemed a little strange. You know, there weren't a lot of statue visitors. It wasn't really well covered or anything like that. Just solid, you know. I think that was a decent game there, but I would really want to put the pressure on with something trickier, you know, maybe an in-convo bug. Nan can't give any more games away, so why give them something clean? You know, give them something quick and transient, a green purloin, a reject chain where there's more than one possible reject or something like that. A white swap right there in their face. It's one of the safer things you can give them to shoot for.
Indeed. Well, it's going to get Nanthelas into this, and getting that one win
It's something.
be the start.
This
This
win.
This is where it starts.
Yeah.
If he can find a spy win, I think he's more or less equalized the momentum. He's not equalized the game, but he's equalized the momentum. Let's see if he can start it out here in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Let's say stop the bleeding, at the very least, certainly. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. In this case, a SpyParty win begins with a single sniper victory, but the spy one worth about twice as much. Ooh, that was a mistake.
You even get the camera shake to show it.
Yeah, but you know what? Clean. Arturiax was rotating quite a bit, and there's a lot going on in the early game. If you're gonna make that kind of mistake, and I don't recommend it, that is the way and the time you would want to do it.
Indeed. Early flirt for 30% at a bit of a distance. Not able to hit that green test. So if he wants a 3 flirt, is going to need to green one of the next 2.
Yeah, not a problem yet, but if the next one isn't a green either, then we could have a problem. You don't want to have to green to complete that seduce.
Stepping in to conversation with the double agent, possibly looking to contact. 2 minutes left to play.
One person out of conversation. Oh, now 2. 3 now. Oh, waited a little long.
Comes off. 1, 2, 3 lowlights. It could have been better. Also could have been worse, but the bug comes off!
Excellent.
Coming out of the conversation.
I think Arturiax missed a low light as well on Slim. I'll have to double check there, but it was going to be 1, and that hesitation with the banana bread caused it to be a few more. But if you get the bug simultaneously, that's still a good trade.
Oh, absolutely. You would give up a lot for a hardtail on this map.
Yeah, especially a bug where there's no trace and they don't know what's happened. But still, though, that hesitation cost a couple lowlights. I understand not wanting to be a banana bread as soon as you get in there, but in this case, it was a really good time. I think in those, you don't want to give away more lowlights like that.
Maybe, but also it's possible that the lowlights that were available were what afforded him the time to get that bug off.
Yeah, obviously not deliberate, but funny how that works. The hesitation and the mistake might have actually ended up being good. Particularly, so Slim, though, I'm almost positive was out of conversation. And not only that, not only not getting the low light on Slim now with a late statue visit and a highlight instead. That's a big deal. That's a big one to miss.
Second seduction was, in fact, green, and this should be in range for 20% on a white. It doesn't matter. It was a green. So... Flirt is now done. We are 1 inspect away from finishing with a minute left to play. I say Nanthelas goes to the exact same statue he's been to already.
I think that's a good idea, and that's the trade-off here, by the way. Obviously, you like that Slim is at statues late and getting that highlight, but on the other hand, it stopped you finishing the inspect, and that path was suboptimal.
I don't think Arturiax has enough to shoot for this.
No.
Especially since he got away with the bug so cleanly. He doesn't even look like he's looking at him too close. He shoots Slim for taking the briefcase. And Nanthelas is on his way back.
So, you know, really, part of you wants to say obviously the bug is what did it, but what really did it was missing the low light on Slim. That was big because obviously Slim very suspicious. Otherwise, I don't know if the spy would have been shot necessarily. It might have just been a mission win instead. But in this case, you miss a big low light and end up shooting that person later. When you go back and look at the replay on that, that's got to sting.
Can we look at that bug again on the way out of conversation? That's
Please.
so pretty. Look at where the sniper is.
Yeah.
How do you see this? He's doing the low lights. He's coming back around. It was a little bit of a weird path.
Right. So there are two things. There are actually several things worth noting about this on the replay. One is you can see the arm go through the ambassador very briefly. You can see the arm come through just a little bit. So not easy to see, but there. And then of course we talk about this all the time at higher levels, and this is definitely high enough to think this and do this. Just say bug path, possible bug, especially for a character like Papa Danger, who's known for the power of that bug.
Not Kane side though.
Not Kane side. Not Kane side. Absolutely, absolutely. But the point is you're still watching that character for potential bugs anyway, regardless of what arm it ends up being. So you could credit the bug there. Obviously, you don't want to shoot for it, but you could. The arm's a little visible. What I really like about this, what I want to credit Nan for, is not doing it right away. Not BB right into bug to cover for it. BB a few seconds to lull them into a sense of security that nothing's being covered with it, then the bug. I think that's the meta play, is to not cover for it right away, to cover for something that happens a few seconds later when they've decided it wasn't covering for anything.
Rough start for Nanthelas, but he's starting to hit his stride. That's 2 in a row for him. Let's see if he can make it a third from the sniper side of Courtyard. Arturiax on the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now the big test is, even if they can get this here, the big test is going to come in the next game where you try to break the serve again and even this up, but you got to take care of business here first. Play a nice clean game of sniper.
And Arturiax starting things off real slow. Hasn't even had a chance to get that flirt yet. Now stepping away to snuggle up to the seduction target and start the game off right.
Well, that's okay. What do we always say on Courtyard about those early statue visits, Tobo? They are worth gold.
Very much so.
2 of them here. Yeah, you love that.
White flirt. Close white for 34%. So...
yeah, ST
about
leads.
as inspected, but able to get another one right after the fact. Another close white up to 68%. Contact coming off. Another white test.
Banana bread.
3 possible lowlights. Let's see if they get him. It's Irish, Morgan, and Smallman. Gets 1?
Gets 1, gets 2.
I don't think he's going to get Small.
No, he does not get Smallman. So
that's a shame because it's a very suspicious, powerful character.
2 lowlights is a pretty good contact on Courtyard, I think.
I would put the over-under right around 2.5 to 3. Yeah, so getting 2, I think you got to be happy with this if you're Arturiax.
Yeah.
And here's another thing too. Those early statue visitors, there haven't really been many since. I'm not sure there've been any since actually. So it's Hare and Teal. Teal goes back a second time. That's important because they were statues together.
Wait,
and it probably...
wait, when did the purloin happen?
Yeah, I just while we were talking about the last thing. Way to sneak it in there. Good grief. Well, I think that's what the highlight is for. I think Nana's on this. Yep.
When did the purloin happen?
I think it was right as we were talking about it. Let me see here. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right after
on
the
the
BB.
way out of. Well,
we were so
focused on
enamored. We were so enamored with the banana bread.
Yeah.
And here's why that's interesting too, because I really think there was a decent chance a civilian was going to get shot that game. Teal had gone back to statues after being at statues simultaneously with someone else, which made it look like neither of them could have completed inspects. So it very much looked like a spy going back to get that annoying second inspect, which is exactly what happened in one of those earlier games here on Courtyard.
Indeed. All right. Well.
One more?
Yeah. One more on Courtyard. Nanthelas on the spy side. Arturiax on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. And Nanthelas may have gone 4-0 down on his own map. But now, Arturiax might go 4-0 down on his own map. Nonetheless, with a red swap, I think, to start things off.
Oh dear. Was it early enough to not be noticed, though?
Well, he's not dead. He's highlit, but he's not dead.
Well, the real test for that is going to come when the banana bread goes off.
This is true. We've got the swap. We've got the inspects.
Yeah, in this context, red, white doesn't really matter. They're not looking at it. The question is, did they memorize the statue first? If they did, the red is no worse than the white.
I think what probably happened here is Arturiax didn't get to the statue in time and is crediting Carlos with having done a swap but has no way of confirming it.
Right, and I want to clarify crediting. More like you have to be aware that this person could have swapped. But, you know, that happens a lot. In a lot of games, I will think to myself, this person maybe could have swapped. I still don't usually assume they did. I still, you know, I'm not ready to shoot for it usually. They have to do a couple other things, spy-like. In this case, at minimum, you need a potentially real banana bread.
I think that fairly innocent bug path freaked Arturiax out. Just judging by the laser movement. There's the contact!
Huge moment. And not looking suspicious
no
at all.
reaction!
Nope, I don't think they're suspecting the swap.
I think Nanthelas has this game. All we gotta do is get 2 flirts in 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah, but I've seen these chases. Sometimes these late chases can get really obvious looking. I would get out of that conversation and get this first one in right away. So you have at least a potential for a timer flirt.
We've got time. This is the kind of thing you could shoot for if it were balcony. This is courtyard we're talking about.
I've been shot for it on courtyard, although I don't. It's hard to say at this level. Is this the kind of thing that might get noticed? I think if a few more lowlights. I mean, look at this. No lowlights.
Yeah.
If there were 4 or 5 lowlights at this point in the game, catching a flirt late would be much more viable.
68% after the second flirt, so we're going to need to get snuggly on the last one to confirm it. 30 seconds left. There is time to wait for the timer flirt here.
Yeah, but you're risking it. The AI could leave at any moment.
Like just that. Then. It's okay. We still got 20 seconds. We got 10 seconds. It's going to be a bit of a rough chase.
But right before the 10-second cutoff, so there won't be overtime.
Nothing.
Doesn't matter.
And
doesn't matter.
In on the wrong character. Ladies and gentlemen, Nanthelas brings it all the way back from 4-0 down to tied at 4.
So you certainly have to question on both sides the map picks. Both players 0 for 4 on their map picks. Maybe at this point they're both just happy to be moving on to anything else away from these doubled maps.
Wow. And I think you have to say that Nanthelas has an advantage now.
Well, if you believe momentum is a thing, you know, psychologically at least, you would have to say that, absolutely.
I think momentum is a thing in SpyParty more than most other esports, and it's still a thing in most other esports.
Yeah, let me put it this way. Whether you think it's real or not, at worst, it's neutral. And most people would rather have won the last 4.
Either way, we're going to Library next, and Library is a beast all unto itself. Man, oh man, is this map fun.
Yeah, well, it's not always fun to snipe on, but it can be a lot of fun to cast and a lot of fun to spy on, too. It's like, you know, it's like playing when no one's watching, you know? You're not supervised by the parents. You can do whatever you want. They can't see you 2/3 of the time.
It's also fun to observe on as well.
Yes.
Let's get this thing underway in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Arturiax on the spy side, looking to get back on the board. Nanthelas on the sniper.
That musty book smell.
Arturiax playing as Alice, who's one of the faster characters in the game.
We now have empirical confirmation on that, by the way, thanks to an enterprising community member.
Indeed. There's a neat little video on it that I can probably dig up in between games that shows with great clarity all of the characters' walking speeds.
Yeah, and you want to see it because there are a few surprises. Alice near the top, no surprise, but not the fastest. The fastest may surprise you. That's clickbait in your cast today.
All right, starting things off with a fingerprint, which is a neat little change of pace before stepping in for this first flirt.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, on library, hard to track. And at this point, you're not going to need another briefcase. There's going to be a lot of movement around. There's books, there's statues, there's drinks. They're all hard to track in any setting, particularly in library. If you really pay attention to the fingerprint, you're going to get another one without getting anywhere near that briefcase.
51% on that first seduce. Lots of progress early on. Arturiax giving himself a lot of options as far as the soft tells are concerned. Still 2.5 minutes to play. All right, what's the plan here? Books. Weird that we're starting at center books. Usually the play is to grab one from the side, bring it all the way to the other end of the map, and then return it to center as if that's where you took it from originally.
Yeah, it's funny. I wouldn't say this is that important, but if you have the option, better to return one bookshelf over in case they have a vague memory of where you got it from, rather than two. Blue to yellow, maybe a little riskier than green to blue or green to yellow, or vice versa.
Isn't this interesting, though? We're doing the hardtail version of it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I almost never makes sense to me, but I will say it depends. Yep, that's big on library. I will say it depends on how confident you are in your action tests. Huge difference, depending on whether or not you hit, say, 65% on your greens or 45%.
This is very true. But honestly, just throwing in a microfilm transfer at the center bookcase on this map is not something a lot of snipers are going to catch just because of how uncommon it is. Time ad, white test,
time ad.
back up to 2 minutes. Kind of needed that time as Arturiax gets another fingerprint from the blue bookcase and is ready to finish up microfilm here as soon as the laser looks away. Laser's gone. There's the trigger. The green test sees it, is worried about it, definitely gets a big highlight from that. This is scary for Arturiax because, yes, he got the mission done and isn't dead, but that laser was on his head as he did that hardtail.
Here's the question. Does Arturiax know? Are they going to risk going to center statues or something like that? I don't think you can. You might be able to get away with contact the double agent, but what else is it going to be?
This is...
Yeah. We're not going to know, though.
Difficult.
Here's what I would do. I would do contact the double agent, because if you get shot for that, you were never going to win anyway. If you don't, then you have an idea. You know at least that you might be a big suspect, but they're not just itching for a reason yet. Maybe you can get away with a bug in that scenario. Late green purloin during confusion, something like that.
Either way, in conversation with the double agent now, might be able to pop off a contact. There it is. It is a green test. 1, 2, 3 lowlights.
I like this decision. You find out if you're about to die anyway. You don't know how suspicious you are for that microfilm. Now you know, at the very least, they're not just waiting for confirmation.
All right.
I would not go to statues, though. I would not go to statues. I think something else.
In this game, if he can find a bug, that is ideal.
Could be a purloin instead. There it is.
It's gonna be purloin. It's
all
a white
over
vest.
it.
That's so bad. There's the shot coming off, and Nanthelas keeps his game streak alive. It's 5 in a row now.
Now I wonder if Arturiax thought they were behind that pillar more than they were. They were not behind it, and it's actually easy. I've made this mistake myself a few times. From certain angles, and it's frankly the normal angle that a spy tends to keep when they're walking, when they enter. You look like you're behind it a bit, and in this case, you do not. You're just not. But if you look at the spy side, Nanthelas was zoomed in on the take, on it all the way. Now, might not have been waiting for confirmation to shoot for that banana bread, like we mentioned, but definitely suspicious enough to zoom in on the drink take just in case. That's not going to work. A green might not have even have worked, but the white, no chance.
All right. Well, this is a good situation for Nanthelas. He's certainly brought this back like a crazy person. He might make it 6 on the spy side with Arturiax on the sniper. Let's see if he can pull it off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And if you're Arturiax, you're thinking, just what happened? Oh boy.
Look at that bug! Look at that bug as Smolman in Time of Chaos. That's very nice.
It is not suspected, I don't think. 3 at shelves early on. Interesting. All AIs, though. At this point, sometimes the bugs with small men, especially early on, can be so good that the only real downside, the only saving grace the sniper has is just knowing that they're so good and being extra suspicious of the character just because.
Also able to pick up 51% off of the first flirt on a close green, so Nanthelas looking very strong off the start.
Yeah, so with the bug basically free, the question is Nan going to definitely finish missions? And if so, will one of those give them away? You want to press this advantage, but you want to be smart about it. You do not want to run out of time after getting away with a free hardtail early in the game.
2 minutes and 45 seconds to play, still a ton of time. Seduction target is in conversation with the double agent. This is looking real nice. Can we hit the 2 flirt? We do not. So white test on the second flirt up to 85%. On the bright side, literally any flirt at all will finish that mission now. Here's the contact coming off.
Banana bread.
1, 2, 3 lowlights. Can't be confident. Ooh, could not be confident about Salmon, but decides to take the chance anyway, and gets a decent return with the lowlights.
That is not a bad number of lowlights for Arturiax there.
No, especially considering 1 or 2 of them were definitely not seen on the sniper side in time, and it was just sort of inferred, this person's at bookcases, I'm going to assume they didn't split.
Indeed. Nanthelas stepping in the center statue and picks up the highlight for his troubles, and a fingerprint as well.
That's why it's worthwhile. This is frankly the biggest decision after that early bug, is do I go to statues, do I go to center statues in particular? It's a tough call. It really depends on what you feel comfortable with.
This game is looking so good for Nanthelas. Only soft tells left. It's going to be a seduce right here, and then staring down the ambassador looking for a fingerprint. If we can get a drink fingerprint, that would be best, but Toby's a bit far away for it.
Still got some time, though. That was the big test, really, was the inspect. Do you get away with the inspect? If you do, you're probably good.
Flirt is done at this point. Don't ignore Toby. All right, just an innocent drink take. 50 seconds left.
Oh, I don't know if I like that drink, especially if you're going to try to finish with a fingerprint. Your hands might need to be free very quickly.
This is true.
For example, what if you need to take another drink?
Yep.
Oh, my. Okay, we're good, we're
fine.
good.
There was no time at or anything.
I was a little worried. I thought this is one of the few things that could give this game away.
No.
What are they doing? Whew.
No time ad.
Okay.
Ambassador's not moving.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. You figure you have all this time to get that last fingerprint and just nothing is happening there. You do not want to have to rush a purloin.
Base, I think we have to, if we want to do this, we have to get snuggly with him on the way into the conversation.
Too late. It's too late.
He's
Crash
gonna go
bug.
for the briefcase. Oh! No, he takes the briefcase!
He's going to get just in time?
No!
Not going to get it.
Nonetheless, had the game locked up, easy win, but not able to convert.
Look at this. Look at the log there. Action triggered. Fingerprint ambassador, 0.5 seconds. Spy ran out of time right after. So for those scoring at home, you need more than half a second to run the actual fingerprint.
Ah!
I can understand the hesitation. If you're Nan, you're thinking this can't happen, right? The ambassador cannot just spend the last minute plus of the game just sitting there, touching nothing. And they just hesitate a little bit too long to try to wait for that to happen naturally rather than force it. I can understand the hesitation. Patience pays off usually in these situations. But in this case, it just doesn't. I really don't have a big problem with the decision. I just think running through everything a little earlier in the game puts you less at the mercy of something weird like that. But knowing when to force that action and possibly be suspected of a bug and getting shot anyway, that's a tough call.
I think I don't mind most of the waiting he did, trying to see if the ambassador will leave, but I feel like once you get into that conversation with him, you have to go in, like, don't go to the other side of the conversation. Get in right next to him, force him to move so you can get that briefcase.
Yeah, for me, the big cutoff is right around 30 seconds. When the beeping starts, you know the sniper's going to be on the highest of high alerts. I can understand sitting there for the first 20 or so. I think once it got down to 30, you had to basically decide right then, I'm going to force this to happen.
Before we move on, can we just... There was one move that I think Nanthelas needs a hell of a lot of credit. Go to where the inspect is. So he goes to center statues to inspect. And it should be noted that by the time the inspects are like well underway, there are 2 other AIs with him. So
Yes.
he does the inspects in the correct order to not get interrupted, which is
like
so good.
That sounds like a trivial thing, but it is so easy when you're playing a spy to just not pay attention and just Q right click.
Yeah, so he picks up the statue. The
Yes.
first one he inspects is the right statue. He finishes that up just before Rocker picks up the statue, manages to get the left one just before Twin picks it up, and then, of course, finishes the one he's holding. So that was well played there.
If you're at all new to this game, never inspect the statue you're holding first. Ever, 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 ever. It's just not good. Every now and then, an AI will come over and take one of the ones next to you, and then you're screwed. I guess there might be some weird scenario where you have one inspect left and it doesn't matter, or something like that, and you need to get it done, and you don't want to scroll through your options. But basically, never inspect the one you're holding first. And try if you can, think about if there's AI is heading in one direction or the other, just make your best guess in the moment as to which one's more likely to be picked up next, and do that one first.
If Nanthelas does not win both of these games, that last game that we just watched is going to be the heartbreaker. But he does have a chance to still win this, starting things out on the sniper side with Arturiax on the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Veranda.
It's Veranda, designed one of the few maps, I believe, not designed by John Simoneau, but by Reika, who worked for the company for about a year. Lovely woman, obviously a very talented artist, as you can see right here and now.
And when you say designed, we're talking about the new art version.
Yes, the new art version. Oh, sure. The general layout, we'll give credit for that quote-unquote design. 3 or 4 quotes on either side of that word. The layout, definitely done by Checker, but everything that we love about it, done by Reika, did a really tremendous job with it.
Oh, 31! It hurts me. It hurts, Track.
The pain. One thing I want to say, too, about this game in general, tied 5-5 here. What's really nice about this game is whoever wins this one is guaranteed a tie. They're playing for all upside in the last game, whereas the other person already knows that they can get 1 point at most as opposed to the 2 for a victory. You really want to go into that last game relaxed, having secured that tie.
Man, did you see that grab on the red book?
I did not.
That was so nice.
Yeah,
just
clean.
Just slips it away into the conversation. Doesn't go for the cheese, just steps into convo and starts talking to people. It's quite like, I don't even think Nanthelas has any idea Arturiax has a book at all.
Yeah, so the cheese version is you take the book out of one of those bookshelves, the ones near each other, green and red, and you pretty much immediately walk it over. Let's call this the curds version. It's a little cheesy. You take the book and you go into a nearby conversation right away, and then you dump it later.
Oh,
but that's not what's happening.
Just going to put it back where it belongs.
Now, this is a move I would do against other snipers. There are some snipers who are looking for every little behavioral lowlight they can get, especially on a map like Veranda, and if they see you put back a book after a little while and waste time with it, so to speak, and they're convinced you didn't do microfilm on either visit, they might lowlight you for it. I don't think that's the case here, obviously.
You can tell because he just got highlight for his first statue visit. Does get a couple of inspects on, but does still gonna need one more statue to finish that mission off.
Yeah, now you could just kind of do the, the tentative cheese. You take the book out if you feel confident based on laser movement, maybe you dump it later, but if you don't, if they swing around quicker than you thought, and you're not sure if the laser latency is throwing you off, then you put it back.
Contact comes off. Just the one low light, I think.
Yeah, that's brutal for Nan. You really don't want to get so few lowlights from the banana bread on Veranda. That's really rough. This party is not getting cut down.
99! Oh no, Track! It hurts me.
You're hurt all over again. You were already hurt at the 30%, anticipating exactly this, and now it's come to pass, and it somehow hurts again and more.
So, for those of you who don't know, the best you can get on a really snuggly close white test flirt is 34%. So when you start with 31, you wind up with this situation.
Yeah, it's and as I always love to say, for mission completion purposes, 99% is the same as 0, and with 30 seconds left, that's pretty bad. You're either going to try to induce a shot or you got a time ad. I would not be going to statues here. I'd either be trying to induce with a purloin or I'd be adding time.
Is this an inspect swap and without being the last mission?
I would hope not. It
is. That's what it is, and it just immediately takes the bullet.
Yeah. Not close. That can make sense if you're trying to frame, if you're trying to fake a green or something like that. But I'm looking here, and I'm not seeing statue visitors there anytime.
I think he was just desperate.
Right. So I understand desperation, but in this case, desperation has to take the form of a time ad or a purloin, I think.
Agreed.
At minimum. And I would lean towards time ad because here's the thing. If you're Arturiax, you knew you were in trouble well before the 30-second beeping started. You had at least 10 seconds to realize, because obviously the time ad's much riskier once the 30 seconds starts.
Yeah. All right. If Nanthelas had won on last game on Library, the set would be over. But as is, Arturiax gets to snipe for a draw. Nanthelas desperately trying to close this out on the spy side of Veranda. This is the last chance he's going to get. Let's see if he can pull it off in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Probably already over the moon, falling behind 4-0 on their own map pick, and now guaranteed at least a tie. You definitely would have taken that after those first 4 games, and now you got a chance to win with an instant swap.
That instant swap, though! I don't think Arturiax has even considered these statues yet.
No, and those are the ones to do it on, for sure. You got to swing all the way around, and we saw this earlier, didn't we? Oh!
Arturiax!
What a catch. I am shocked. I did not think they were seen at all. Let me look at this replay again. I guess they get him. They get him. Just barely. So look at this. Look at the first 2 seconds. That cheeky
little slip around on the right at the start of the game here.
Well, here's what's interesting about that. One of the reasons it didn't seem like they caught it is because they didn't really go around very much, and usually there's so much movement in front of those that you kind of have to. In this case, the party opens up at 3:58. They swing by, and if you look between the bodies moving around, if you're quick, you can catch them. The 1 and the 3. So Arturiax, not having those statues blocked by the party, manages to catch them and gets the win quick and easy.
Oh, man. I just want to recount what happened here. Nanthelas, down 4-0 on his own map pick, wins the next 5 games and throws the 6th.
Well, it's a reasonable decision. Remember, the insta-swap,
And then we
happened
split
earlier.
The last map.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a set!
That was. I was feeling a little sad at the beginning, but man, Nanthelas just clawed back. Yeah, just clawing from every player. That was super good to watch.
That was
just an impressive set of memorization there. Yeah, I don't think anyone would have blamed. If Nanthelas got away with that swap, I don't think anyone would have been like, "Yep, that was really bad not to memorize those statues." But it's you have such a small window, so
I thought that was completely clean.
I was ready to just watch Nanthelas for a while, and I was like, oh, the safety is off, and then I didn't notice to switch the camera. But anyway, so that's the end of our first match. So a tie party there. I think it's time that we load the next match, and let me do this right so I don't say bam during a transition nor spoil the games. So there we go. I did that. So we're going to go to Elvis Snake versus Scallions.